A new study from Cal State Fullerton shows the number of young adults who live with their parents and relatives is growing. And it's no surprise why. We're dealing with unaffordable home prices and high rents nationwide. So the study was co-led by Assistant Professor of Finance, Desen, and he joins us live with this morning. Desen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me here.
All right, so this is pretty fascinating, but also not surprising. But what were your biggest takeaways from the study?
Well, my co-author and I would like to know what's behind the growing trend of young adult co-residency in the past few decades. And we find the period after 2000 very interesting because the co-resident share increased at a higher rate, twice as fast as before. So what's happening in this period is that 1 in every 2 young adults aged 18 to 29 will live with their parents. And that's a historical high in the since the 1900s. So in our study, we show that the decline of housing affordability is the main factor explaining the accelerated increase of the co-residency in the 21st century.
Yeah, talking about the percentage of young people living at home, especially sort in the 21st century, we're actually learning that twice the pace of the previous 4 decades. What's so different about this decade?
Yeah, in the 21st century, I think 2 phenomena are worth mentioning here. We first see the housing costs, including rent and house prices, increased at a faster rate than the household income. And the ratio did not take off until 2000. For young adults, living with parents has the benefit of sharing the cost of living and building up the savings for the future home ownership.
Yeah,
And another related phenomenon I'd like to mention here is the delay of marriage and childbearing. And we find that less affordable housing actually can induce late marriage and further increase the co-residence among the young adult.
Yeah, so fascinating. Affordability, obviously a big one, but you go and travel around the world and you see that a lot of families actually do live together well into their 20s and 30s. Here with this study, you actually found the popularity of multi-generational living may also increase in the coming years. So we're seeing grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren all living together. Why is that?
I see the trend first will continue in the coming future. And out of the many reasons I'd like to highlight 2 here. One is the persistent issue of unaffordable housing, for example, due to the challenges we face to reform the zoning and the land use regulation. And if this unaffordable housing issue stay here, we are likely to see that the co-residency will play a role as the intra-family insurance against the risk of rising cost of living. And another reason I'd like to highlight here is the population demographic change. And we know Hispanic and Asian households are growing in the economy, and they value the multi-generational culture and consider this living arrangement beneficial for example, elderly care and childcare. And under the current population projection, actually U.S. is transitioning to a majority-minority state by the mid of the 21st century. So the multi-generational living will keep growing in California and in the rest of the nation in the coming decades.
Yeah, so fascinating. How does that saying go? It takes a village, and I guess in this case, it does. Well, Desen, thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.